Good morning, Lawn Pro Radio. Wayne Voles, Profits Unlimited, coming to you live from Louisville, Kentucky. Yes, indeedy. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. Corey, appreciate you joining in with us this morning, bright and early. Like bright and early in my show. It's not bright and early in the day. Heck, we all been rocking and rolling for a while by now, I'm sure. But hey, we got a great day going on here in Louisville, Kentucky, and hopefully you got great weather where you're at. We were around 62, I think, this morning. We've had some really good weather this week, and looking forward to that continuing on. And looks like our only shot of rain will be potentially like late tonight, and then out of here right away, and tomorrow back to another good day. So looks like a stretch of dry weather for a change, man. So we're glad of that, to say the least. And hopefully you guys are getting some good some good weather too. Good morning, Seth. For you guys that aren't watching us in the Profit Circle on the video, Seth said, "Good morning, ladies." So there you go. So, but anyways, hey, appreciate you guys being on here with us, and wanted to give a shout out to all the Dolly Parton fans out there. I liked her music. I'm not going to sit here and lie and say, that I've been to a concert or followed her or anything like that, but it was certainly a bad, tragic event uh, for her yesterday, and we knew something was up. Kyle about 3 o'clock or whenever it was yesterday afternoon said, "Man, Dolly Parton passed away," and I'm like, "Wow, I didn't even know she was sick." So, but I do want to put our condolences out there for her family and whatnot. And she is in a better place now, or so they tell us, right? And hey, that's what makes it all. Hey, we can all go along with it a little easier that way. So we're not going to turn this into religion, but anyways, did want to give a shout out to that. And she was a great person. I'm trying to think. This spring, I watched her doing some awards. I don't know if it was a country music awards or what it was, but and she was rocking and rolling. I know she did quite a bit of uh, philanthropic work, I believe is that what you say. And Daniel was talking about on his show, like she gave away like 270 million books. And I mean, and a lot of people do a lot of nice things. I'm not saying she's the only person that's given back to the community, to say the least. But that's it. Those are incredible numbers. And Daniel also was talking about something on his show about at one point she told they were having a really terrible dropout rate in high school, and she told everybody that, hey, if you pick a partner, and if y'all when y'all graduate, I'll give you $500. And their dropout rate in that school went from 35%, I think he said, down to 6%. So crazy, crazy, crazy. But just go to show you that money's a motivator for any and all of us, right? I mean, some people say it's not, but realistically, it is. There's more things. Health is more important than money. You're not taking it with you, but on the other hand, money is a motivator for a lot of us anyway. And I'm not going to lie and say it doesn't motivate me. I mean, it's what keeps the lights on. What keeps me being able to do what I do, and all of our team members here at WLS. I mean, we're all in this together, right? And I mean, that's the reality of that. But did want to give a little time to Dolly this morning, and come from a huge family, and she's done a lot of great things. And I understand she had some other people in her family that actually were into the entertainment industry and singing. So did not realize that till Daniel was talking about that. But hey, big shout out to our whole team this morning here on Lawn Pro Radio. Uh, Heck of us. Appreciate you, man. Everything you do. And Daniel, and then here we go with Profit Time today. And I'm really looking forward to my show. Got a lot of several different topics I think you guys are going to be interested in. And for you new guys that are out there listening to us, guys and gals, uh, and I know we got a few gals we picked up um, at the seminar last week. So when I say guys, it doesn't mean I'm excluding you ladies. Okay, so please don't take it that way. It's just the word I used for everybody. So I don't know. Maybe it's something I can work on being better at. But anyways, hey, appreciate everybody being here with us, and looking forward to a great show today. And Lawn Pro Radio, we are rocking and rolling, and good deal, good deal. So Tim Brennan on board with us too. Just sent me a text, first time, yay, on our new platform. So Tim, we're glad to have you, buddy, and glad you're listening to us here on Lawn Pro Radio. And appreciate each and every one of you guys. Continue to share on your socials if you would. We're growing daily, and we're really glad to see that happening. And it's happening because of you. And without you guys, it wouldn't be taking place. So um, hope everybody's week's going well. Don't forget tomorrow at 10 a.m. Katie will be on with a cup with Katie, as she's diving a little more into the marketing aspect of your business tomorrow. I'm sure that'll go well, and she's really a good marketing person. I mean, if she really does an outstanding job for us, and I know she helps quite a few guys. You guys across the country with your social media marketing, and so she's just one tool in the toolbox for you to help you, get your post out there and get your things out there. But looking forward to her continued growth as well. So we're just rocking and rolling every day, man. I mean, we're I was going to use a word that I don't even like, so I'm not going to. As far as and I know Heckabus hates the word, but I'll go ahead and say it. I'll go ahead and say it. Grinding. Like I think Heckabus told me one time, I hate grinding, or I think that was the word. But hey, we're not grinding, man. We're just doing what we're supposed to do. So that's what we're doing, and we appreciate each and every one of yous that are with us. And use maybe sound like Rick Knapp down at Scotty's. He always says use. So but anyways, hey, funny thing this morning, Daniel, when I came in, I said, Daniel, I said, we was talking about Dolly Parton for a minute, and I don't want to take us down a crooked path here, but I don't know. I guess I was thinking a little more, but I says, she was 80, which, man, I remember when I thought 80 would be like really old, but it's not. And I said, what's the average lifespan, for men now? And he said 76. So he said, I think it's 76. So he looked it up, and it was 76. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm like, damn, man, I've got 13 more years statistically to do what I want to do, or accomplish what I want to accomplish, or however you want to look at it, you know? Um, crazy, crazy, man. And he said, well, the good thing is if you make it to 65, your average lifespan as a male goes to 83. So I guess it's if you haven't gotten sick by 65, with something major, your chances of, living longer are better. So I'm hoping I go another couple years. I got a medical procedure next Wednesday. Hopefully that turns out all right. And we'll see if I'm on the road to the 83 average or versus the 76 average. But either way, man, we're going to live them one day at a time, and can't worry about what you can't do anything about. So that's what we're going to do. So listen to Daniel more frequently and implement what he talks about, and go from there with it. But anyways, I do appreciate you guys being on today. And again, Tim Brennan, glad to have you with us today. And all the several new people that we've got here on our new platform here, Lawn Pro Radio. So, Mike, I appreciate your kind comment uh, in the Profit Circle. You guys that are not watching the video through the Profit Circle, you don't get to see the comments that are posted there, but we appreciate that kind comment where he said the leadership at Lawn Pro Radio is strong. So we're trying to step up and fill the need for the industry, and we'll go from there and do our best to disseminate the information that's out there, and with different show hosts like we're doing, and we're building that on the regular. And I think we got at least one additional right now that coming with us. So we'll see how that goes. And I got a few more that I'm working on to see if they'll share some of their knowledge with the industry, because that's just it. I mean, it's training, education, and knowledge is what separates, the good companies from the other companies. And there's always going to be both. There's room for both, but at the end of the day, I think when our goal here, in Lawn Pro Radio is to simply, bring the cream to the crop, to the top, cream to the crop, cream to the top, and the way you're able to do that is you guys help me get better with my business. I'll do my part to help you get better with your business. The industry gets better, and then we're all better off for it. Somebody sent me something the other day that Ben Briscoe. It was Ben Briscoe, and he said, when the tide rises, all the ships come up, and that's what the goal is. So, with that being said, hey, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with more Profit Time. Speaking of profit not being a dirty word, I was sitting here reading something that I was getting ready to talk about and kind of merged those in there. So, good Lord. All right. I got you, Tim. Thank you, man. I will certainly take care of that, buddy. Appreciate you tuning in with us today. And, but, we, speaking of the Profit Circle, though, we have our monthly meeting is tomorrow night. That's the 27th at 7 p.m. Stephen West with Sigma Organics is going to be on with us. Looking forward to what Stephen has to say. He always hops on a couple times a year with us and talks fertilizers, herbicides, whatever. And certainly do appreciate all that. Tomorrow night, he's going to be talking a little bit about different types of applications outside the normal applications, if you will, of herbicide, pre-emergent fertilizer that we can utilize within our businesses, and at minimum let our customers know how they can help them and keep their lawns in better shape. So if you love to have you with us, so be sure to join in. If you're not currently in the Profit Circle with us, and simply go to our website at profitsareus.com, and right there on our very homepage is a link to join. You can join for free and see what you think about it. So we'd love to have you in there with us. So we'll plan on seeing you tomorrow night. Just curious, how many of you guys are experiencing grub worm problems this year? A lot of times when you've got this much rain, unless you got a really bad problem, grub problem, you don't see a whole lot. Because unless, like I said, unless it's a really bad infestation of grub worms, with all the rain we've had, the grass is outgrowing the problem, if you will, kind of similar to what happens sometimes in the spring, right? So, but I'm curious. We've seen a few issues in lawns, but nothing compared to normal that we would have. And also wonder about fungus and disease issues because of all the rain. How much of that, were you seeing? We had one of our customers a little bit frustrated about, her yard and how it was looking because of the problem. But and hers is a fungus problem going on. It goes back to what we talk about a lot, where it's not our fault, but it is our problem. And she's like, well, I just had my yard sodded last year, and blah blah blah, or 2 years ago, whatever it was, I can't remember now exactly. And we didn't sod it. Not that that matters. A very good friend of mine actually did. It's out in his neck of the woods, and he sodded it, and he actually sent the lady our way for the lawn applications on it because we treat quite a few lawns in that part of the county. And anyway, of course, she's mad about that. We're trying to put that fire out. We're not running and hiding from it, but just curious. Yeah, John says they're seeing a lot of nutsedge. Absolutely, nutsedge has been pretty prominent for us too. I know we've added expel to this round four the last couple years to try to hedge some of that off. We were using a different product, and so we're seeing what's happening. So Seth says they're seeing a lot of spurge. So it's a lot of different, just a lot of different weeds, broadleaf weeds, Daniel, with the all the rain. So we complain if it's too much rain. We complain if it's not enough rain, and it is what it is. So Seth, hope you get that spurge under control. John, your nutsedge. Oh, a few bagworms to say the least. That hadn't been too crazy either, but Seth says they've only had a few bagworm issues going on. Uh, so Corey said he's sprayed expel twice so far for nutsedge. So
there you go.
There you go. It works well. It really does work well. And I mean, if we have any escapes, we'll backpack those. But
I think when it comes to lawn care, if there was a way that we could all shift the perception, meaning selling it as, hey, we're going to take care of your lawn no matter the weather, or no matter the what's the word I'm looking for, like the elements of the year.
Correct.
Instead of, oh, I'm going to make your lawn look like a golf course, right? Like the difference in those two situations is one is a perfect scenario you're trying to sell, where maybe in a vacuum you could make that lawn look like a golf course, right? Like if you have the exact perfect timing and temperatures and precipitation and application and all the things are going in a perfect way, which some of those things the customer doesn't care about. They expect you to do anyway, like the application being right and all these different, good product and all those.
Right.
But the things that you can't control, if we could shift it to, we're going to make, hey, you should have us do this. We should have, or you should have us take care of your lawn because we have the information and we know how to take care of it, even when the situation, even when the variables aren't perfect. We're going to make it look as good as it can look in the variables that we're presented with each year.
That's a really good point, Daniel. And I think the way this whole weed free thing got started, was some of the bigger firms were advertising that, have a weed free lawn, and I mean, the reality of it is, I mean, can you have a weed free lawn? Absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of lawns, that everybody takes care of are predominantly weed free. But I think,
but even predominantly is still not weed
free. And I mean, I think we've kind of set the bar of the expectations bar too high.
Yeah.
With the consumer saying, "Oh, weed free lawn," hire us, say we have a weed free lawn, and then the small print says, "Or we'll come back and retreat." Yeah. But we put ourselves into this situation a lot.
Yeah.
Now, and then it's up to us to have a good distributor on a product that says, "Hey, I really think this is going to, be better for you." Tim Brennan, up there in New York, he said they've been using a Celoprin, I believe is how you pronounce it, for grubs for about 8 years, and he said, man, they just don't have breakthroughs, and they're treating almost 4 million square feet around. So that's enough to have a good target base and say, hey, something works or not working. But said they've experienced a lot of nutsedge in his area too. So, but it's the rain factor.
Yeah.
But minimal crabgrass along the edges, he said. which, if you're going to have it, everybody knows that's where it's going to be, right? That's, your hot spot. But,
Yeah. Well,
um,
there's a different standard. The lawn care applicator and company has a different standard of what looks really good compared to what the a lot of the consumers, like you're talking about, have been conditioned to see as a really good lawn.
yeah,
And
what,
that's the issue. Like, oh, we only have we only have crabgrass around some of the perimeter. Like that's a really good, you're doing a really good job with that. From the applicator perspective, you're treating a big property, a big, a lot of area. You only have a small issue in this one specific place because of these things that you know about, you understand why. But that's still, the consumer looks at that and goes, "Oh, I have weeds." And then you
yeah.
have the consumers that also say, "I have weeds all over my yard," or have, so many, I have a bunch of weeds, and it's like, a couple little small areas. So I think it's a shift, and it sounds like what I'm saying is we just need to tell people to be okay with bad results, but it's more like
Realistic
being
results.
realistic with it
Yeah.
instead of, don't market it like you're talking about as we can make it look perfect, or as there was a commercial, I think it was a True Green. Would that make sense for that
Yeah.
service?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it was them doing a commercial a couple months ago. I saw them with different golfers, and they were like, "Oh, this is a." They were saying something. It's like joking commercial, but like, they were putting on the lawn and like, playing golf on the lawn, basically. Insinuating this is as good as the top PGA courses and stuff, which you're setting that bar really high.
Yeah, true that. Corey says it's also bad, when the Bermuda starts showing up, so absolutely too, and again, that's, and, to John's point here, he said, and everybody that calls with a complaint and says, my yard's, my neighbor's yard looks great and mine doesn't. Why?
Mhm.
You know, um, it just, I just wish we could get out of that, but
Yeah, that I think
I
that's.
don't know where.
I don't think even the best case scenario you're ever out of that, just
No,
because people are always comparing.
it's always you're exactly, yeah, this compared to this. It's kind of like my dad used to talk about in selling, one egg or two. This or this. And they're looking at it from this or this standpoint. But they're not looking close at that. But that is true, John. Everybody says, "Well, my neighbor's yard looks better than mine. Why is that?" They're using so and so, or, well,
Maybe they're doing
the
3
environmental
extra rounds.
conditions, and
Maybe,
yeah,
maybe they got their yard seeded last year, so there's more, turf density. There's all the things obviously that you tell your customer, tell the customer in some way, shape, or form, and that you try to promote to have them do,
right.
and then they don't want to do it.
Right. But, Mike brings up a good point here too, in the profit circle. Again, for you guys that can't see these comments, he said, somewhere the goal for lawn care became perfection and not a healthy lawn,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah, and
and
there's a big
that is
difference between
it,
those two
you
things.
know. But we'll see. We'll see how it works. Mike said he's also going to try, he's going to experiment on his own yard this year, but with putting a pre emergent down late fall, on his yard, and seeing, I would really like to try that too. But, and I'm curious how many of you guys may have done it, or Tim, if you've done it. I know you've been treating lawns a long time as well, uh, doing the fall pre emergent. But you got to think about it from a company's perspective of, that's an expensive application that you're really setting yourself up for a better spring and next year, but you don't know about your cancellations, and I think that's why a lot of companies don't do it, is they don't want to get into that investment on a late round when you're at the time of the season when that customer carousel is going to start spinning, where somebody, they had weeds or they had crabgrass, and they haven't told you they're going to cancel yet, but they are going to cancel, and then I guess, you got to look at it and weigh, well, what's our normal cancellation rate versus what's our retention rate versus, cost per lead generated. And I think that's something a lot of us don't even track. Um, I know we do, but I mean, a lot of companies don't track and should is customer acquisition costs. So, so at that point, it might make sense, you know, but we'll see. We'll see. John said they do the pre-emergent in the beds in the fall, and we. It's funny that you mentioned that, John, because we do too. We'll do a late application of pre-emergence to try to get for our 12-month contracts, and those those winter annuals. But we don't do it on all of our lawns in our lawn program. So I don't know. Maybe that could be part of the solution, Daniel. Does a company want to make that investment? So something good discussion for maybe Stephen West, or we get Mary Jo on here with Advanced Turf, and or Beth Berry to talk about it a little bit. Maybe we can get Beth on here to talk about that too. I know she's a wealth of knowledge as well. So we got access to some really great people that understand the agronomy side of it.
Yeah, I think a big part too is like you have to decide if that's your customer base.
Yeah,
If that's not your business model, then it doesn't matter if it's a good idea or not. If your customers aren't that type of customer, then there's no sense in trying to sell them
yeah.
something like that.
Well, I went to see a gentleman yesterday, and this is pretty interesting little story. When I got there to talk to him, I was a little bit early for my appointment, and I did, walked up there and rang the doorbell, and um, he said, "Man, wow, you're 15 minutes early." And that is a little bit earlier than I like to be on an appointment, but I mean, I had several scheduled, so I was trying to keep myself at least on time. And I'm glad I did because I ended up being there about 40 minutes or so talking to this gentleman. But it goes back to expectations. And actually, we got a video coming up in the profit circle that we did this morning. Daniel will get it up there, soon. But, he, this guy's yard was in good shape, but this guy was considering changing services uh, because of the communication issue he was having with his provider, and he was looking for somebody that could provide full service for him too. Because he said, Wayne, I'm gonna be honest. He said, I got too many people doing different things around here. I got people that do my landscape work. I got guys that are spraying. I got guys that are mowing. I can't, and none of them hardly want to call you back. He said, and tell Katie, I really do appreciate her following up on her phone call because I went to get her message off the phone and I deleted it accidentally and it deleted the call from my call log. And if she wouldn't have called me back, I wouldn't have known who it was, you know. So, I mean, that goes a long way into follow up, and then we'll see. We'll see. Um, Mike says, probably more efficient to make aeration and seeding mandatory part of your program to help increase the turf density, and that might not be a bad idea. I mean, create an incentive package for somebody to, get in. We've actually discussed that here quite a bit, haven't we?
Mm-hmm.
Of going that route with it. But again, you don't want to force somebody into something that, but maybe that becomes part of the weed free experience,
Yeah.
program.
I mean,
Hey,
at the same time, like we aren't like it's not that we don't force people into things anyway. You have to do a weekly cut. We don't do biweekly.
right.
We force them into weekly or snow contracts. Like we force them into the way we do snow
Yeah.
because we know that's the best results. So as the professional, I don't think there's anything wrong with quote forcing someone to do it a certain way because it's your reputation on the line at the end of the day. If
Correct.
you're going to get that 1-star Google review that says, "Well, my yard looks like crap," because you didn't force them to take the proper steps in order to
Make it right.
get what they said that they wanted.
That's a really valid point, Daniel. I've not thought of it in those terms, but I mean that is right. I mean, like you said, snow. That it's one way to do it. Retainers are we're not going to do it. And we know why.
Yeah.
That's a really great point. And like the mowing frequency, and that's really a really excellent point.
Yeah, you hired the and this is for once again, you have to have the right type of customers, but did you hire us to get lawn applications, or did you hire us to have the lawn to look like the way you want it to look? Right? You hired us to get the result. You didn't hire us for the process. Let us decide the process and we'll give you the result that you want.
Yeah. Now, here's something to think about. Fred brings up a good point. He says, force them into the whole package or nothing would just lead to more nothings.
That's
So
that's true.
you're going to have more no's,
I think you have to
you know,
decide like
but then
is
it goes
the
back to customer base selection on your
right.
end. Who you
And
targeting?
you can give them an additional option too. It doesn't have to be all or nothing per se. But at the same time, if you can get, 2/3 of your client base to spend a little bit more money and make the same amount of money for
Stops.
less stops, less work,
Yeah.
then, more no's is a good thing.
So, yeah, it does. I mean, it all does kind of revolve around not just what your business model is going to be, but then customer selection, and as long as you're okay, well, just like now, we're okay with the no. How many no's don't we get because of, well, y'all don't do biweekly cuts? No,
Right. Yeah, we could
we
have
just don't do it.
3 warehouses full
Lawnmowers and
of, file cabinets if we took all the
bi week.
one-time mows, biweekly, tri-weekly.
Yeah, try. God, let's don't even get on that kick. Whew, the tri weeklies. My God, but no, Fred, that's a really excellent point too. So you got to be prepared. The more you're going to offer as far as um, what is it, whole package, if you
The
will.
more premium something is, the
Yeah,
less people are
the
gonna.
less people. It's the same reason people don't sign up for our contract billing for mowing, right? I mean, how many, we could easily have double the number of mowing accounts if we didn't work on a contract billing. Easy, if we did per cut billings. But I mean, again, it's a decision we made for our business model. I'm not saying you guys got to do it that way, but I mean, we're just not going to do a per cut billings. It's just too much. It gets us all going, you know. But very valid points. I appreciate all the input from you guys, on this. But talking about Mr. Kuiper a little more from yesterday, it was funny. He said, you know, I said, well, your yard looks like it's in really good shape. And it really was. I mean, there was no sign of, I don't, honest to God, he might have had a weed free lawn, quite honestly. I mean, we looked really close at the front because that's what he was wanting to have, where he had a sewer pipe that was repaired about a year ago. And that's really the problem he was having, was where the sewer pipe was with, thin turf and whatnot. But other than that, his yard looked good. So the contractor was doing a good job for him. But the problem was the communication on the backside. So he said, I appreciate the fact that you guys are a full service company. You've already demonstrated you will call back, and you do show up. And but let me say this about showing up too. We had a 3-star review came through yesterday or the day before, and the we're not even sure it was our customer, but let's just go with it was our customer. Quite honestly, we think it might have been a response from uh, somebody thinking they were hitting up Wayne's Lawn Service, but they were doing the Wayne's Lawn Service in Alabama, because we get that confusion sometimes on their phone calls. But long story short is you know, their complaint was uh, some weren't trimming hard enough under bushes, and which we'd be happy to do that if they would just ask, if okay. But secondly was the speed at which the job was getting done. They said, well, they got these big mowers and large crews, and you know I, I, one of the reasons we don't think it was us because we don't have a large crew on residential mowing. It's two in a truck. That's it. I mean, that's just the way we run our residential crews is two, you know, and so, but we don't know who it is to reach out to is the problem. They put a name on there, but not a. But it didn't look like. Well, I don't want to call it a normal name, Daniel, but it was more of initials or something,
like a username,
like a username, not a name. So, because we always try to reach out, not only just with a response, but literally reach out on with somebody like that to let them know we do care, and hey, what can we do to make this right if it's you? But the reality of it is we're all going to have that happen. But how are we going to deal with it? And like Mr. Kuiper yesterday, I mean, we'll see how it pans out. We sent him, or I sent him, several different proposals for different work. Some of it was landscape, aeration, overseed, fert and weed, mow. I mean, it was several things, and I'll keep you guys posted on how it works out. Sounds good, but until it's signed up for, it's not a whole lot to it. But I asked, he said, I really like working in my yard. This is kind of funny, Daniel. He said, I really like working in my yard. And he said, I used to do all my trimming and mulching myself. He said, till a couple years ago, he said, I had a truckload of mulch delivered and I was about 12 wheelbarrows in and my hips started hurting. Did I tell you this yesterday?
No.
And he said, my hips started hurting. And he said, so I called my son and told him what I was doing and my hip was hurting. He said, the reason I called my son, Wayne, if you're wondering, he said, he's an orthopedic surgeon. And in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, cool. That means you've probably got a pretty good background. So you can certainly afford full service. And they had really nice looking, normal neighborhood, though. It wasn't extravagant. And so I'm thinking, yeah, cool. He said, but my son told me, he said, the best thing you're going to do to fix that hip is stop wheelbarrowing mulch around at your age. And he said, it kind of hurt my feelings, but and he was 78 when it happened. So this guy's 78 years old, wheelbarrowing mulch around his yard, and who knows? I mean, I'm sure it wasn't a big old wheelbarrow full, but long story short, he decided that was the last amount mulch he was going to be wheelbarrowing around. So we'll see how it turns out. It could be an opportunity, but maybe not, but maybe so. So, hey, let's take a short break. Ben, glad you're listening, man. Appreciate you shooting me a text. And Ben says, Wayno, Dolly donated over 500 million to charity over the years. I don't know how accurate that number is, but that is a buttload of cash. It true is, man. 500 million. So I don't know. Thanks, Ben, for that info. I know she was very, very kind-hearted and contributed to a lot of different things for people. And for you guys, most everybody knows she came from a pretty tough background, to say the least. So glad to know that she was able to share and willing to share like that. I would love to have that kind of money to be able to share and help people like that. And I believe each and every one of you guys listening today, right now, would do the same thing, and I think we all do share to a certain extent, and we do what we can do. So um, certainly different, we do it at different rates, but hey, it's the thing is that we help each other. And I think that's what's very important. So, speaking of helping, put out several proposals yesterday. I share this with you guys. I had 6 proposals we sent out yesterday on people that I went to see, and so far today, Ben, I know you can appreciate this, buddy. 6 out, and I'm 0 for 6 so far. Now, as we were talking about this morning, I'm not really 0 for 6 yet because they haven't been rejected proposals. They just haven't been accepted proposals. And 4 of them have not been viewed yet. So our follow ups go out today. So I'll keep you guys posted. But y'all thought I was going to say, hey, man, I'm 6 for 6. So, but no, so far I'm 0 for 6 on accepted proposals, but 4 of them haven't been opened yet. So we'll keep our fingers crossed. But speaking of which, how's it going for you guys? How are your how's the phone going for you all? Is it ringing along and got a few good leads coming in? I hope for different work. Um, but it is that time of the year. Phone's pretty steady now with seating and aeration calls, but we're trying to make the phone ring, so we're paying to make it ring, and a lot of that comes on referrals, and a lot of it comes from pre-existing clients. So don't forget about those guys. A lot of times, when we think about marketing, we think too hard about where they're coming from. But anyways, I got a funny joke, and I know you guys are going to get this. It's basic, but it's a dad joke for sure. But I always like sharing fun things with you guys when I hear them. But Katie was like, "Well, I can tell you who's going to get that right away." But
Yeah.
but this is easy. So you guys text me the answer to this 502 550 8307. It's 502 550 8307. Or for you guys that are watching us in the Profit Circle on the video, be sure to comment here. But here's the joke. It's an easy one. It's an easy one. Okay. What do you call a bear with no teeth? What do you call a bear with no teeth? And I tell you what, I was kind of sad that I didn't get this answer right away, Daniel. But did you get it? Mike Murphy says, I know it. It's exactly what Katie said you would do right away. Fred, gummy bear. You go, Fred. Yes, indeedy. Oh, my God. Isn't it? You know, it's bad when you have 8-year-olds telling you jokes that you don't know the answers to. But what kind of thinking is that? We have to ask Hecabus about that, or you might know, Daniel. Like, you're really good at getting stuff like that. It's not logical, or is it logical thinking, or what?
I don't
I
know what
wonder
it
what part of
is.
your brain gives some people the ability to rationalize things. Because I like to think I'm not the smartest
I don't
person
know.
in the world, but I like to think that I can figure stuff out.
I
But I am
think
terrible at
sometimes you
stuff like
quit
that.
too soon on those things. You're just like, all right, tell me. Where I'm just like, I'll sit over there for 30 minutes and think about it.
Just being
Try to
impatient.
put
I
maybe,
am.
maybe,
Yeah,
maybe it's
maybe.
impatience or just I don't know.
Might be. But anyways, one of the things that I do want to talk about today for a little bit, uh, Corey gave two answers. He said gummy or Bear Grylls.
Oh my gosh, that's funny.
You go, Corey. I hear you. So, yep. So Fred and Mike were pretty quick on that answer, to say the least. Corey, you came in there with your two, man. I appreciate y'all. Y'all make this so much fun, man. I love the hour that I'm on here with y'all every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Sometimes special occasions too, but it's really fun. But I wanted to talk a little bit about, why are some companies successful? And I had a guy ask me this a while back, actually, and one of the questions that guy sent in through Profits Unlimited, he said, Wayne, he said, I'm just curious, what's your opinion on why some companies are successful? And I thought, it's actually a presentation that I have, and that we've presented in different places, but I think it boils down to a few things, and then you guys love to hear what y'all have to say about it too, honestly. So, be sure to shoot your comments in or text me with it, 502 550 8307. Or if you're watching us in the Profit Circle, certainly put your comments in. But I think number one, and what I did for you guys, I went in and printed my slide off, one of my slides that I use in my presentation. But I think the first thing we got to think about is our image. You know, your professional image in every way, everything you do. And it's we actually we got a video we did this morning on this kind of like kind of this topic, but it definitely relates. But I think it's we got to think about our image in every way, from not just our trucks being clean, but everything we do. I think that's what separates any business. I don't want to say what makes you different and better, but what makes you different. Because then in the consumer's eyes, what makes you different can either make you a better choice or not a choice. So I think that's where it starts, is what's your image? What's the perception that you're putting out there? And are you properly trained and educated? We talked on that just, here a little bit ago, but I think we got to all want to focus on training and education, not simply just, well, what can I do to sell that job? Because when it boils down to what 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 can we do to sell the job, what you're really saying is we're just after the work. And yeah, we all want work. I get that. We all want to sell jobs. I'd love to get all six of those I sent out yesterday. And I'd like to get the ones that I send out today. But I know I'm not going to get all the work. But if that is my only goal, then I'm probably, if that is the only goal somebody has, then what are we probably doing? Well, we probably don't have a really good handle on pricing our job, for one, but maybe attracting the right type of customer, number two, because none of us, unfortunately, that's just my opinion, but I do believe this 100%, none of us can be everything to everybody. So we got to try to find the people that we can be something to somebody for. And that's where I think our training and education level comes into play. Let that be the separator, not the cost. Let's go out and look for people that care about the knowledge we've got. Going back to that old saying about, I'm probably going to screw this up, quite honestly, but it's something like, people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. But I think people care about the level of expertise you have, even if it's not giving them the answer that they want to hear. And I mean, that can relate to any aspect of your business, any service. Maybe it's mowing height, maybe it's mowing frequency, maybe it's fertilizer rates, maybe it's pre-emergent rates, maybe it's, lighting fixtures, maybe, whatever it is, it's all of it. And I think that's what we got to focus in on, is how can we train and educate ourselves to give our customers, or our potential customers as well, the answer that they need to hear. It may not be the answer that they want to hear, because if we're constantly trying to give people answers that they want versus what they need, then we may not be doing what's best for everybody involved. So I'm not saying, hey, as salespeople, we satisfy needs and wants, right? I mean, that's the reality of sales. But on the training and education side, you're not always going to be able to tell people what they want to hear, but you should tell them what they need to hear. But what is the solution based on what you're giving them the answer to? Hey, no, that shrub's not going to work, or we don't want to fertilize this time of the year, but here's what we can do. It goes back to that option. And the way we can learn to give people better options is to be better trained and educated. So I think that's what makes some companies successful, that side of it. Having a good marketing plan. In other words, going after the people that are going to, when I say going after people, going after the type of customer that fits your business model, and, being aggressive on selling is what makes companies successful. And I don't mean aggressive from the standpoint of push, 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 but are you looking for new work, or are you the person sitting out there saying, well, I'm not concerned with new work, we get enough word of mouth? And that's fine if that's getting you to your zone that you want to be in, not complacency, of course, but if that keeps you where you want to be from a scale standpoint, then that's fine. But know that generally attrition alone is going to require you to do some type of marketing and selling. And what does that proposal look like? Are you utilizing professional proposals? And when we look at just these five things we've talked about just right here, all those will go back to the first one, which is image. You know, a professional proposal, professional marketing plan, being aggressive in selling. Meaning that you're calling, you're following up, you're sending those proposals out. Are you diversified enough? That's very important to a company's success, because if something falls off economy wise, that hey, well, people are, and this happened in '08 in a big scale, where a lot of people that were getting their residential lawn serviced weren't getting their residential lawn serviced. So if you were predominantly a mowing contractor, and we lost a lot of companies that year, then you weren't positioned to be successful. So that's why diversification is so important. We got to offer more services to our customers so they can buy from us. Maybe maybe so if they don't get the mowing, hey, they still want to get their lawn applications done, or they're still going to keep their hedges trimmed and mulch put down, or whatever it may be. you know so we got to be diversified. We got to, and that's where I think a lot of companies, it takes them a little too long to understand that, including me. I was slow to that bell, that diversification was going to be the key to our success. And then I think we think about diversification, we think about utilizing service contracts like we were talking earlier. you know Everything we do is on a contractual basis. It doesn't matter if it's fert and weed, landscaping, aeration, overseed. We want things to be clear and concise. And I think the consumer likes clear and concise, Daniel.
Yeah.
What I mean, I want clear and concise from somebody that's doing work for me. You know, I don't I don't I don't get offended and say, well, why do I have to sign a contract for that? I mean, it's just blah blah blah, and then they fill in the blank. A customer says, "Well, I'm not going to sign a contract to get my grass cut. It's just mowing grass." Well, that's not your customer. Well, no, you did. What that means is you weren't properly trained and educated to explain to the consumer why that's their into their advantage as well. So, and then pricing has got to be accurate. Following up with your customers. You know, how do we retain, retention of key employees? That's why companies are successful. Whether it's one person that you count on, or 1,000 or 1 million, it doesn't matter. What are you doing to retain key employees? And a lot of times that retention comes from, uh, we're not going to get into the company culture aspect of it right now. That's important, obviously, but it's diversification of services. Again, if you're a mow only contractor, in the Midwest, you're probably going to have a hard time with retention, because somebody can't make it on 32 or 35 weeks and then say, okay, well, I'll see you in 18 weeks, I'll be back, or 16 weeks, I'll be back. So we got to think about how can we retain better employees. Be more diversified means we work longer and start sooner in the spring if we're in a market where it doesn't go all year long. So we diversify those services. And certainly, last but not least in that group, is understanding the need for 12 months of cash flow. And how do we regulate that cash flow? One way is service agreements, the next way is diversification of services. You know, that's how we control cash flow. And, unfortunately, each and every one of our businesses revolve around the need for cash flow management. And cash flow management is done with regular monthly billings on your service contracts, and or the fact that you've diversified your services. So it's like us. We know, hey, we can count on X number of dollars being sold or generated for aeration, seeding, uh, fall fertilization, snow and ice management. All these things that we diversify in as an industry. And I'm not saying those are the only ones. You can have holiday lighting, landscape lighting. I mean, list goes on and on and on. But that's how we set up and get that cash flow control is through diversification and understanding our pricing. And when you look at all of these, and then we'll wrap this up real quick. But when you look at all of them, they all go back to the first professional image in every way. Whether we're talking about training, marketing, selling, being full service, utilizing service contracts, accurate pricing, retention of key employees. When you look at those, and this is the school of thought for today. When you look at all those things and you say, why are some companies successful and they've implemented these, what makes those companies different from yours? And the answer is simple. I'm going to hold this slide up for you guys watching this. But it's nothing. The answer is nothing. It's the choices that you make within your business that can help you be more successful than you already are. And more successful, I don't want that to be confused with bigger. I'd just soon you be a one truck operation and you've got good cash flow control. You got 12-month cash flow and you got all these other things going on that are creating a perceived value for your company that makes a consumer want to pick you over somebody else. That's what it's all about. So regardless of the size of your company, you can do all the things that are necessary to position your company to be more successful and more profitable. Let's take a short break. We'll be right back and we'll wrap it up. Hey, I appreciate your time today. We went a little bit over, but that's all right. Hope everybody picked up an idea or two. As always, you guys keep your comments coming to me because I love what you guys say, and you guys help us too here at Wayne's Lawn Service and Profits Unlimited to be different and better, and at least different than we were the day before. Some things, I think it goes back to the little things. It goes back to the little things. So let's take care of the little things. The big things take care of themselves. And remember, profit is not a dirty word.